know who made it. You know who made it. who made it. You know who made it.
Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you to the class. I just want to inform us that we're going to be waiting. We're going to be kicking off by maybe 15 minutes past 7 or latest 20 minutes past 7. So, because I just want to wait for the rest of the persons to join, so that we don't start going back to what we have discussed when they finally come. So by 15 minutes past 7 or 20 minutes past 7, we'll be starting off officially. So let's just be patient and wait for them. And in the meantime, if you are currently on the live session, and if you haven't identified your name, please go ahead and do so. So I properly welcome you to the live stream. I can see Tom Bliss, Franklin. You're welcome. Thank you for joining the session. So I'll just go ahead and turn off my mic, and of course increase the volume so that some of us that know how to dance can dance to the beautiful music that is playing on the background. And then while we wait for the ones that are yet to join. Thank you very much.
You know who made it.
Hello everyone, you are welcome again to the class. So we are starting now. Any other person that joins after now will just I don't know, they'll just they'll just try to cope. So today on the last class we looked at how to set up our Figma, create Figma accounts, and I still went ahead to explain the Figma interface. So but today we are going to look at both Figma, and for the first time today we are going to go into programming. So but on the Figma own end, we are going to look at how to create some basic designs, how to edit some basic designs, and then for the first time today I'm also going to leave us with maybe just one assignment. So we are going to create some basic designs, and then I'm going to give us an assignment before we then proceed to application development, because we haven't really touched that before. The practical term of that, we have just been doing theories until now. So okay, just give me a sec. Okay, so as I was saying, sorry about that. As I was saying, today we are going to be creating some basic designs on Figma. We'll create, we'll edit, so that we can, bring ourselves to, the actual practical work of Figma. So this is the Figma dashboard, right? This is the dashboard after you have created your account. If you weren't part of our last class, you can easily go back to the video. If you weren't part of our last class, you can easily go back to the video, and you should have done that before today's class. That's the entire reason of setting up, of even having the classes on YouTube, so that you can always go back and implement some of the things you couldn't do during the class session. So if you have done that, and I believe you should have, by now you should have, by now you should appear on this, you should see this interface when you try to access Figma, because you should have already been logged in, you should have already created your account, so you should see the interface. Obviously you won't see this, because this is actually a project. I'm taking a student to Figma, so this is one of the projects we did during the week, just a practice project. So probably yours will be blank. So, but you can just go ahead and click this to create a new project, and we are going to do that now. I've already explained every other thing here, right? So, but one thing else, just to emphasize, I clicked on this draft. The other time I explained the difference between draft and this all project here. So when I clicked on draft, I could see this project here. The project that was on that at my recent now is generally every project you're working on. So but draft, the projects that are on draft are the projects that you have not yet moved to your main project folder. I named it main project folder. You can name it whatever you want. You understand? So every project that is an official file, you move it here, you work on it from here. But if you are still just test running, doing practice, you can leave it on the draft folder. You understand? So for now, I'll just leave this one in the draft folder because it is just a practice project. So let me come back to the recent folder, and then we'll create a new project so that we can start test running, right? And then we are on this our project editing interface. I've already explained each and every one of the things you can see on your screen. This is the left panel, this is the left panel, this is the right panel or property panel. This left panel is called file panel or assets panel. This right panel is called property panel. And then you have your toolbox. You can call it toolbox, you can call it tool panel, but it's just where all your tools for work is. And then this is your base canvas. Okay, you are welcome, Israel from Lagos. Let me just quickly welcome you in the comment section. So as I was saying, this is what we are going to do today, because we have already learned this interface. We have learned everything about this interface on our last class, which is necessary, right? So today we're just going to go ahead and start creating some basic design ideas so that we can start mastering how to use the tools and the rest. And I went ahead to also explain the tools. This tool is just to move things around. Let's say I create a rectangle, right? Create a rectangle. I need to move it around. I will select this move tool. Look at it here. Move tool. The shortcut is the letter V. I just select the move tool and then I move it around. And then also there are other tools. There is this frame to create a frame. I explained on our last class the difference between a frame and a rectangle. A frame is actually a representation of your device, whether it is a phone or it's a tablet, whichever device you are creating the design for. In fact, the entire reason for using Figma is so that you can create an application, a design for an application. So the application could be for a phone, it could be for a tablet, it could be for a desktop, it could be on the web, right? So the frame is what will represent that device. So all your elements, all your text, whatever you're working with should be inside a frame, because since you are creating for a device, you can't just start. The frame is just like I said, it's representing the device, so everything should be inside the frame. So let's say this frame, I showed us how to select custom frame sizes, because we are creating for devices. So Figma has already gone ahead to create dimensions for regular sizes, like you have Android compact, you have Android medium, iPhone 16. These are all normally you can enter this value on the frame. This is the width 393, this is the height 852. This is on pixels actually. You can manually enter it, but Figma just created it because these are their real sizes, so you can easily just select it. So let's say I'm creating for, let's say, iPhone 13 mini or so, whichever one. So you can see it automatically gave you the size of iPhone 13 mini. So now, since I'm designing, the size of this particular design is for iPhone 13 mini. I shouldn't start designing outside. After all, it is inside the phone. Whoever is operating the app that I'm trying to design, whatever they should be interacting with should be within the frame of the phone. So that is to say that a frame is like a model that houses every other element. So let's say the application, we have a name, we have a text. Probably the application could say welcome. When you try to log in, it could say welcome Alex Onyeka. Don't worry, I will make the text big. Alex Onyeka, that's my name. So this text shouldn't be outside. Of course, it should be inside the frame, because it is when the user log into the application, which is accessing the frame, that they will see all the components. My picture could be here, my name could be here, So a frame is just like a model that houses every other elements, right? So let us go over it again. This is for the picker or the move. You call it move tool. You call it move tool. Sometimes I refer to it as pick because you use it to select. Sometimes I also refer to it as selection tool. So we use it to move items. You can also click on this rectangle to move it, right? This other one here is the hand tool. Use it to grab. So the difference between the two of them is this hand tool is actually moving the entire page. I think I did explain this thing the last time, but I'll just quickly run through it and then we'll start creating. And then, this hand tool, this move tool moves a single item. Now I'm moving just this container. Let's say the container is here. I'm moving. Okay, the move tool can also be used to resize actually. Let's say the container is here. I'm just moving only the container. But if I switch to the hand tool, it is the entire canvas that I am moving. See that it's the entire canvas that I'm moving. This frame, I already showed us what frame does. It's just to create the frame. And section is just like a container. That's the same, what's it called? This same rectangle, but it is specifically to section. To outline different sections of of an application. Application, you could have the header section, body section, and all that. So, but I don't really use it. I use just the rectangle, right? I use just the rectangle. So sorry about that. I got a little technical issue. So we're back. The section tool is just to create a section. Just as the name implies, different section. You're working on the header. You're working on, maybe the clothes section could be one section. Let's say for an e-commerce application, you could have new products. That's a section. You could have top selling products. That's another section. So it's just to section things so you can easily identify them. But personally, I also use this rectangle for that, right? So let me just quickly delete that. You have the line just to draw a straight line, right? Just to draw a straight line. You have arrow, the same thing. This ellipse is just to draw a circle, right? It's just to draw a circle, ellipse. If you hold shift, the circle is going to have equal height and width, right? So that it doesn't if I remove my hand from the shift button, I can give the circle any shape I want. Of course, a circle, but the dimension will not be equal. One side will be longer than the other. Probably now the width is longer, now the height is longer. So if I should hold down the shift button, it will constrain it at an equal width and height so that it increases uniformly, right? Increase uniformly. Sorry about my voice. So we have polygon for creating shapes, right? Now this polygon, let me see. So just as you can see, the polygon, you can define the number of sides, right? You can define the number of sides. Now it's having 4 sides. I can make it 10 sides, right? see how you can define how. Okay, let me make it 3 sides so that we can really understand what I'm doing. You can define how curved you want the edges to be with this. This one now they are very sharp. Pull it in, curve. So basically that is what it is. Then you can also create a star. So these are just tools that you can use. And then I taught us how to add an image. Right? You select the image tool. It's going to take you to your file manager. You select an image. Let me select this one. And then you drag. So you can define the size of the image by just dragging, right? And then when you release it, it's going to add that image. You're going to import the image. You can do that, and you can also just click and drag the image from your file into the Figma. But the way I like to do it is to set an image as a background of a container. When you add the container, you will go to this field, select the field. So first here, I think I explained this the last time. First here you have a solid color, so you can use this to set the color. Right? I explained this the last time, I'm sure. This one now is a gradient. You can use it to define the gradient. That means like fading from one color into another color. So let me set the first color. Let me set the first color to be blue. How to set it is just to select this box here. It's going to open the color selector for you. Set this other one. I mean, click on the other one. Probably let me set that one to be green because it's going to be a messy color. So and then you can. I just added that one by mistake. I wanted to explain that now. You can add as many points as you want by clicking on this plus button. You click on it, it's added a new point. You can set that color. I mean, the point also a different color for that point. And then. So you can set it to be, now if you notice, it is linear, meaning the blue is at the top, just the top, straight line. The red is at the middle, but you can set it to be radial, meaning it will be round. Let me just set it so we see it, right? Round coming from the middle, and then you can set it to be angular, meaning just look at it, blue, like to this angle here. This one, other color started from here, and the green started from here. So basically, that's that. You can also set it to be diamond. Got it. So you could have different reasons for these different designs, but that is just what the tool is for. And then this is where you can import an image. So instead of setting color as your background, you can import an image. So this is actually the way I prefer using an image. Right? Instead of the other pattern I showed us by adding the image, I will add a container and then I'll set the image as the background. So with this now, for now, the image is filling the entire container. Let me edit the container so we can understand. The image is filling the entire container. So this is telling the image, look at it, this is telling the image that the image must fill the entire container. There should not be any white space on the container. Even if the image will have to sacrifice some of its parts, meaning some of its parts are going to be cut off, but it just has to fill the container, right? This other one is saying that you want to preserve the size of the image, even though some parts of the container are going to be blank. So all this place is blank. So the priority here is the image. We want to see the entire image. So no matter how we increase the container, the image is just going to maintain its shape. It's not going to bend, it's not going to cut, it's going to maintain its shape, right? The container might increase and have white spaces, but the image will just maintain its shape. The first one, the image, the priority for the first one is the container. We don't want to see any white spaces around the container. We don't want to see any empty spaces around the container. The image will fill it until every empty space on the container is filled up, thereby even sacrificing itself, right? So those are the two main, and then crop is just, we all know how to crop things now. We have been doing that, crop images. And this style, so but basically most of the times you use fill, because personally that's what I use. I mean fill and fit, right? Even the crop, I don't really know the idea for the crop, because this fill will cover up for crop, because you want to, the image is already cropped. If I want to crop all this love red, I'll just do the same thing, right? So well, the slight difference though is that with crop, if you notice this one and the image is placed at the middle, so whatever you are doing is generally still placing the image at the middle, but the crop can crop off one point. I can say, okay, I want to begin from the top, I want to display just the top and then crop off this bottom. So that's what the crop is for. So this is actually where I prefer using images configure. And okay, that's the last thing. And then after this, we have this. Now you can click. You can use it to draw whichever shape. When you are done, you double click to create the shape. Right? To create the shape, you can give the shape a color, stroke color. Let me give it a color of white so that we can see it. So look at the shape we just created. So when we start designing, we'll be using some of these things. And this other one is a pencil. You can just, let me select it. You can just freely use it to draw. You can select a color. You can select a color, let's say red, and use it to draw. I don't think I've ever used this pencil before though. And then the next is the text. You just select the text, you click, and then you start typing. Right? We'll soon go through how to edit each and every one of them. So, but for now, I'm just introducing them. I think we have done that before. This is to leave comments. So we won't talk about this, and this for now. So we'll focus on the ones, because all these ones we are not using it to work, right? This one is for, most of it is for premium version, so we'll talk about it. So but focus on the ones we are using, we'll constantly be using. So I'm sure I've introduced us to each and every one of the tools. So now, this particular, let me just import it, but let me delete everything on the page. So that image, let me import it. So I want us to recreate this image. Sorry. Let me quickly just check if there's any. Okay. Please, if there's any question, in fact, I'm pausing for now, right? I'll be waiting maybe for like 3 minutes. If there's any question, please just leave a comment, and then because I just explained some things now. If there's anything you want me to explain again, please go ahead and say, and then I will explain. I'll wait for like let's say 3 minutes, just 3 minutes, because we don't really have time. After this class, it's already almost 30 minutes to 8, and then today we definitely are going to go into application development, because we have always been talking about just design. We have never talked about application development, so how to manage our time. So please, if there's any question, just go ahead and ask so that I quickly respond, and then we move. Let me play the song. Let me increase the song, Why not? Okay. In the absence of no question, I'll proceed. In the absence of no question, I'll proceed. So let me import the image. I thought okay, yeah, I did. This is what we'll be working on. I just want us to recreate this because it's actually a very simple design, right? So when you look at this design, there is a main frame, right? Like there is the main frame. Sorry, give me 1 second. I'm having a slight technical issue. Hello, so I'm back. Sorry for the delay. Sorry for the little, I don't know if I should call it glitch. So we're going to recreate this. If you look at this, there's a base frame, right? There's a base frame with curved edges. I'll teach us how to create curved edges. This is basically what we're going to create today. There's a base frame with curved edges. If I will, I don't know if I should say advice or what. I'll ask you guys to just not try to practice as I am, explaining. The video is always there. Just listen. The video is always there. Just listen. When I am done, after the class, take your time. Try to work it out. Be watching the video while you're following, right? So that you can always pause, take it back, watch, practice. And if there's any confusion, you can always reach out to me or my DM. So the edges are curved. There's a frame, and the edges are curved, and then the frame has an outline, right? It has an outline, slightly red outline, right? And then the frame is slightly gray, and then inside the frame there is a red circle. Under the red circle there is a text. My circle is red. I'm sure we can all see that. And then I wonder why, although the image is low quality, that's why. And then under that we have another text. Amongst every other color, my favorite color is red. Amongst every other shape, my favorite shape is circle. That is why I love red circle. So this is basically what we'll be creating today. This design will combine a lot of concepts in Figma, so that's why we are going with it. Like I said when I started the course, I'm taking some guys on application design also during the week. So this is one of the things we created. So we just create it here. So here now, to start with, of course, like I said, every design must be inside a frame, right? Because what we are doing in Figma is to design for an application. To design an application or website. But all these platforms are going to be, how do I put it? It is on a device that you can use to access and interact with these platforms. So what represents that device on Figma is frame, right? So you don't design outside the frame. You can do that, of course, but any design you design outside the frame is just like it's just out there. It is not in an. It is not. You shall understand what I mean. You shall understand what I mean. So well, sorry. Let me just quickly adjust this. Okay, so this is all we have. We have the frame. So let us get our frame 2, right? We got our frame 2. Now we want to know the actual size. Okay, we can just easily know it, right? I've explained this property. Yeah, I have explained this property panel. How each selected item has its own unique properties on the property panel. I've explained. So how to know now? I would have. There are different ways I could also know this. The size of this frame, right? The size of this image, right? There are different ways. Like one of the ways is Figma. There's something that is called snapping. Figma helps us to snap things, right? So you are moving things. It's going to look for the nearest edge to snap it, like to try to tell you that okay, you are on an edge. So look at, if you see that red lines, those red lines that is appearing, it's trying to tell me that okay, it's on an edge. So let's imagine this size of the frame I drew is like this. So now the red line on that top is showing that okay, I'm on that edge. So I know that it's at the edge at the top. Now let me try to adjust it down here. As I'm moving it, you see that red, it's very small. You see when I move, those red things that appear here. If you look here, you will see the red things. It's trying to tell me that okay, I'm at the edge at the bottom. So it's helping you to. So now I know that okay, top and bottom, I have gotten it. Let me move it again and move it in. You'll see it. Top and bottom I've gotten it. It's only left and right. So how do I get the left and right? I could move it this way. See, it has just snapped it. It snapped it to the left. right? Let me try it again. It snapped it to the left. As I'm going, it snapped it to the left. Let me move close so you see it. You see the red line. It just snapped it to the left. You even know it by, you notice it by the movement. Moving it, if you move it, you understand. Moving it, I'm going gradually. When I got close, it just, it just, look at when I try to move it, will just fly on its own to the left. So it's not to the left. So that's how I know that I am correctly aligned to the left. And then I'll start moving the right too. So if I move to the right, it will still snap it to the right. So now the sizes are equal, right? So, but there's another way I would have I could easily get it. I could just select the item and then I'll come to this property panel. Look at the width is 266. I can just easily come here and apply the width 266. But we already got the dimensions from the other pattern. So, and then the height also is 232. I could come here and apply the height 232. So that's one of the importance of property panel. You see the current value of the properties of the currently selected item, right? So now we have gotten the dimensions, the height and the width, right? What's remaining? These sides, they are curved, right? So I showed us how to do it on the last video, but just in case, in fact, let's just do it. You come to this corner radius, it's called corner radius. You just randomly enter numbers because we don't really know the value of this curvature here. Of course, we entered 20 initially. I entered 20, and as you can see, it is not as curved as this. So I think, let me take it to like 50. And as you can see, it is as curved as this. So the corner radius, the value for the corner radius is 50. And then after that, we can see that there is an outline around the container, and the outline is slightly red, right? So I showed us how to add that outline. It's called stroke. Now the stroke is, there's currently no setting on the stroke. You can come here, you can click on this plus icon to add a new stroke. As after you have selected the element, you come to this stroke, you select it. It has, okay, because the background, it added a black stroke around it, but because the background is dark, if you are using a white background, you see the black stroke. So, but let me quickly change it to red or blue. You're going to see it. It's slim. As I zoom in now, you can see that there's a stroke there, right? So now this, of course, is thicker than this. So let us try to, this is where you adjust the width of the stroke, like the thickness. So let me make it, I think, 1.5. No, it's not 1.5. Let me make it let's say 5. Here is 5. And then of course our color is darker than this other, is much more bright, sorry, than this other color. Like the red is very full. So now there's one secret. I think I showed you guys the last time. There's one secret. Because we don't know this color, we don't know the value of this color, and because it is not a Figma design, we can, if it is our own Figma design, we can select it, we can come to this stroke, we'll see the value of the color, right? If I should set it to yellow, you see the value has changed here. You can also still see the value inside, right? So because this is not a Figma design, it's just an image that we imported, we can't see the color, but there's a trick we can use. When you select our design, where the place, that this frame here, where we want to apply the color, you select it, and then you select this color here, that's under the stroke, because we are working on the stroke currently. You select this. This item is called sample color. It's also called color picker on some other softwares, like CorelDRAW is called color picker, and I prefer to call it color picker, right? So what it does is, when you select it, you will, if you notice, look at, as you are moving, it is currently identifying every color that it is hovering over, right? If I move here, it is on this hash. So if I just click it, it will automatically apply the color to the color of, now I want to set this color here to this color. So now that's why I selected this color picker, and then I will move it to that particular color I want to choose, or I want to pick, and then I will click. Automatically it will apply it to the place I want to apply it to, right? So we have gotten that color. The next thing is the background. Ours is still white. Our own background is white, but this one is ash. we can't really know the exact shade of hash, so we still need to use that color picker again, right? We still need to use that color picker again. So when I select it, this actually is the fill, means the entire fill of the item. So just to test run, if I go to the red, you see that the fill has changed to red. But we need this shade of hash. So when you select the color picker, you come to the color want to pick, color sampler. I prefer to call it color picker. So when you click it, automatically apply it to the region we want to apply it. So we have gotten that. I need questions. I need you guys to ask me questions. If I'll still give another, this is already 8 o'clock. Oh my god. I think I should just proceed, right? I should just proceed because we're going to finish this design today. I think I should just proceed. But if there's any question, you can leave it on the comments and then I'll address it. So now we have gotten the frame with the right dimensions, that is height and width, with the right background color, with the right stroke, right? The next thing now, let's create this. We already learned that there is a tool for creating circle, right? There's a tool for creating circle, and I told us that you can decide to just click and just start playing around, but because this, let me delete that, because this circle is, the width and the height are equal, so we have to create it that way, right? So we'll have to hold down shift. I explained it before. So but we can't totally get the exact height and width of this circle because, like I said, it is an image we imported into Figma, so we'll just try to manipulate that, right? So let's see if I can do that. There are a lot of ways I can do that, but let me go with this. I think this way is easier, so I'm sure some of you can understand what I'm doing. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to use my own circle to totally cover this one. If it has totally covered, let me move it. Yeah, I think it has totally covered. Did it go too much? I think that is just about it. One more. Okay. This one is remaining just small. Okay, it's remaining just one at the top. Just one pixel movement at the top. One. Yep, it's good. So we have 58. It should be equal. We have 58 by 57, so we should just make it 58 by 58. So obviously we'll go through this because we don't really know the exact measurement. We're just trying to guess it. So we finally got that it is 58 by 58. And their color, let's position it at the middle of ours first. Or let's get their color, so that, because it's still the same with the background, let's get their color. So we'll come to fill, we'll select fill, we'll select that color sampler, we'll select the color sampler, we'll select the color, and it has applied it to our own, right? So now if you notice, this one is positioned at the middle of this frame. So there's one trick. There are a lot of ways you could do it. You could just click and hold down and start moving it. Look at, when I get to the middle, it just showed me that I'm at the middle, right? It showed me that you see that red line. It show you that you're at the middle. Where is the red line? Yeah, show you that you're at the middle. This is one way to do it, right? But another way to do it is, because this image is it's positioned inside this frame, you can go to this top here and say, this section is for positioning. You can say you want to position it, align it to the left of the current frame. It's going to align it to the left. If you say align it to the right, now this alignment is horizontally, right? If you say you want to align it to the middle horizontally, look at it as align it to the middle. If you want to align it to the top vertically, you do that. Bottom, you do that. Middle, vertically, you do that. So now, at least we have gotten the middle horizontally. How do we get? We have gotten the middle, right, horizontally. How do we get the position vertically? Well, we could guess that. Yeah, I think we could. Let me just use one of my tricks. It's not a really serious trick. What I just do in scenarios like this is, I'll just pick anything. Sometimes line. Now I choose to pick container at the rectangle. So I'll just draw it from the top, from one point to another point, and use it to get So that's what I did here. It's not totally at the edge, but the difference is just very little. So, okay, let me first of all centralize this. Let me centralize the rectangle by moving, dragging. So, yeah, it's 10 points at the middle. Let me try to give it a color so that we can see maybe blue. Yeah. So I want to use that rectangle to determine this distance between the edge and the actual, this item here. So this is the end of this item. Let me move it here. Okay, entered in a little sharp, but the height is, I think it is supposed to be. Okay, that little it entered is the little it is refusing to enter. You know, this is working with pixels. So it can't go this little, instead it will go the complete pixel because each individual box is a pixel. So that little it is refusing to, or I can say it cannot cover here, is the little it entered here, so it's still balanced, right? So that means the distance between this and the top is 50. So I can then bring it here, position it centrally, it's at the middle, see the red line, and then drag this container down, maybe the circle. So now they are aligned. Let me just be sure. Let me just be sure. If I delete it, yeah, they are aligned at the same position. If you look at it, they are aligned at the same position. That's one trick I use, because the horizontal positioning is at the middle, so I don't need to do all this other box trick. I can just easily position the item horizontally at the middle and it will solve for that one. But the vertical is at a random position. That's where I actually am the one that designed this when I was teaching that guy. So, but I can't really remember, where I positioned it. So it's just at a random position, right? So the only way to get it, one of the ways actually to get it. Another way is I could draw a straight line that will pass through the middle of this circle and pass through this entire frame, and then I will position this circle so that that straight line will also pass at the middle. That's one other way. This design you can improvise, right? So now we have gotten this round circle. Oh my god, time is fast. Now I've gotten this round circle. The next is for the text. You just select the text item, start writing, and the text is my circle is red. So I've gotten the text. So after finish typing, when you want to start editing the text, see now it is still typing. If you notice that cursor is still blinking, right? So that's to tell you that you are still typing. You can't start editing now. So if you want to start editing, you just click outside. I just clicked outside. See now it has, see the frame around. It's telling me that okay, you have selected this text. If I should click out again, it will unselect the text. If I want to edit the text, I click on the text, it will select the text. But if I want to maybe delete or add to the text, or that is edit the actual text item, I will, instead of single clicking, I will double click. Look at it. It has brought out that cursor again, right? So now I want to edit I want to give it this color and this font and the size too. So first of all, let me work on the positioning. I know that this is positioned horizontally at the middle, at least I'm sure of that, right? So let me work on this font style. The font style, I'll look for it here. I think the name is I think it's something. Okay, look at it. I've showed you guys how to select fonts, have I not? I think I did the last class. So, but let me quickly just go over that now. As I explained before, every item has its own unique properties on the properties panel. If I select this circle here, you will not see that typography. You will see positioning, you will see layout, of course, because it is a shape. You see appearance to make it transparent or opaque. You see, okay, because the circle, you can't have corner radius. You see fill to add the colors, and then opacity of the color, right? You see stroke, this stroke that we used here because it's shape. This effect is for shadow. I explained this in our last class, shadow and the rest. So, but for text, you will see one extra layer, one extra section, which is for typography. So because of course text has extra thing you can edit, which for example is the type of font. If you notice, this font is called font. This font is different from this. This is just a very simple font. Look at it, it's just simple. Whereas this one is stylish, it's looking stylish. Sorry that the image is rasterized, but you know, we are going to redesign it, so it doesn't matter. So I will look for this font. I actually know the name is this Jaina Purva. Maybe I don't know, it's an Indian font. So when I select it, you see it has set it. You can set any font. In fact, this kind of font, it is hardly used on application design. On application design, just take your time. Go to every application you know. Facebook, Bolt, Uber, I don't know if there's Glovo in, but there's Glovo in Abuja. I think there's Glovo in Lagos. You know, any application, YouTube, you will see that the fonts are always very, very simple and clean. You understand? But they will still just make these options available for you in case you want to be crazy. I mean, as a designer, of course, every designer sometimes becomes crazy to be able to create some beautiful designs. But most of the times, you use plain and simple fonts for application interface, right? So because this is just a practice project, let's use this stylish font. So I've selected the font. The name is this Giant Pulver. You will see it's a default font, not a default. It is it is added by Figma. You can add your custom fonts, but this one is added by Figma. So when you go there, you look for this name. I don't know how to pronounce it. Giant Pulver. Of course, I can pronounce it phonetically, which is Jenny. I don't know. I mean Jenny Purva, right? Purva. But if it is an Indian font, it could be called Jaini Purva. So I don't know, but you just select it. Now we have gotten the font. It is remaining the font size and color. The font size we definitely have to guess because there's no way we can know. But the color, we can use that color picker we just talked about. Or here it's color sample, but I always call it color picker. So we use it. We zoom in because so that we can easily pick the color because there are small text. I told us how to zoom in on our last class, so nobody should ask me that. Well, to zoom in, you can either hold Control and click on the plus button to zoom in, minus button to zoom out, right? You can also use your two fingers on your keypad. When you drag it, your two fingers apart, it will zoom in. When you drag them close together, it will zoom out, right? And then for me that like using mouse, right? You can just hold the control. I don't know how to call it, like scroll the mouse, that mouse scroller. When you scroll it away from yourself, it will zoom in. When you scroll it to yourself, like when you drag it to yourself, it will zoom out. So enough of zoom sha. When you click on this, it will select the color and apply it to our text, right? It has applied the color to our text. Now for the fonts, we'll just improvise because there's almost no way we can get the exact font. So for one trick sha, I also like to use this. I will bring it. This is not actually how do I put it? It's not accurate. It's not 100% accurate. But you see, I brought it to this text, right? I place it on top of this text, and then I will be adjusting it to see. If you notice, the text under is smaller than the one on top. So that means I will try to adjust the one on top. Let me set it to 16. Look at, I'm coming to this left side, to the right panel to set the font. Let me set it to 16 and see. No, it's smaller. Let me set it to 18. Okay, I think it is 18. So it is not 100% accurate, but at least even if it is not 18, maybe it's 18.5 or something close to that. But I think it's actually 18. I set it, but it's just a trick that's not very much reliable. So, but still on this typography section, you can set whether you want it bold. Okay, you can't really set it because this Janiprova is a custom font. Let me go back to a normal font like Inter. I think I explained this, but just in case I didn't explain it the last time, or just for some of us that have not seen the last class. If you set it to font like a lot of other fonts, you can custom edit the this thing I want to do now. I don't know what it's called, sure. Well, I've never thought about what it's called until now. But it's whether you want to set it to be thin or light, like slim, or regular. The regular is regular, the medium, semi bold, bold, extra bold, black, that is very bold. Then you have italic, like you want to set the font to be italic, extra italic, italic. So this down part is just every other thing that is up, but italic version of it, right? So I just wanted to show us that one, but let's just leave it as regular and let's go back to select our Gini profile, right? I explained this the last time. Well, I will explain this ones when I come to this paragraph section. Let's finish off with the header. So I've gotten the fonts, the color, the font size, and the font family. The font family is a type of font. Like now that I just used Inter. I could use, there are a lot of other font family, Poppins, there is Calibri, there is Verdana, there are a lot of other font family. But I use this Journey Pro. So now I've gotten the color, everything about the typography. Now is the position. First of all, I have to put, because this is positioned horizontally on its own frame, so I have to position this horizontally on my own frame. So I'll just use this dragging format, right? I'll use this dragging format. I could also come and position it like this horizontally. Okay, it gave me a better position, right? So I've gotten the horizontal position. What about the vertical position? How do I do that? Well, I could still use that same format I used before, right? I could use that format I used before. So to draw a rectangle and use the rectangle to determine their distance. So this one, let me drag it here. So it's up. This one now to the tallest part, which is this L. Let me use this L. Let me give it a color so that we can identify it, right? Okay. So at least I know that the distance between this text and the the circle is the height of this rectangle. If you are not understanding, ask on the comment section. But I'm sure if you go through the video again, you can easily understand. Figma is not very difficult like that. So I'm going to, we all know Ctrl Z. I won't explain all that. That is not part of the Figma class, right? Ctrl Z, Ctrl Y, Ctrl Shift Z, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, all those things. They are normal computer operations that you should know before you even desire to take a class on Figma. So now let me drag this here. And let me try to get the positioning. First of all, let me position it horizontally, and then let me drag it to the edge. And then that means I'll have to also drag this one down because, yeah, it is good now. So the distance between this yellow and this text is the height of this rectangle. I'm sure we can understand that. Okay, we have gotten the text. Now time for the paragraph, which is this other text. It's still a text, so we can easily just select our text tool, click and start typing. So what is the text there? We have amongst every other color. Amongst. Okay, see, it is automatically applying the font of the last font we used. So we have to go back. This is the font name for this is called Poppins. You can't know, it's me that created, that's why I know the font name. It's called Poppins. This is the way Poppins font is. So you can just go there, you type POPP. So that's Poppins. You select it, look at it, and then the size, I think the size is 10. Yeah, I think the size is 10. So we got the font name, we got the font size. It's remaining the color and the positioning, or the color, the text, of course. And there's something I taught us the last time, right? And I'm still going to repeat it now, sure. But let me just get the color. So the color, when we come to this, let me zoom in. So when we come to the fill, we select the fill, select the color sampler. I won't explain this again because I've already, and then we'll zoom in to get the color because it's a very small item. If we don't zoom in, we might not select it properly. So we'll zoom in so that we can select it. So it has automatically applied it to our own. So now we have gotten the fonts, the size of the font, and the font family, and the color. What is remaining is to actually type it. So now we have amongst every other color. I want us to observe something, comma, my favorite color is red. If you notice, the text has gone out of the frame, and obviously that is not what we want. So how do we solve that? Now, how to solve that? Look at this particular layout. This first button is called auto width, meaning that the width of the entire text, it doesn't have a specified width. So it will continue increase, like it will be increasing as to just to accommodate the entire length of the text. So it doesn't have a specified width. It's called auto. So automatically on its own it will be increasing. The next button here is called auto height. So that means it has a specified width, but it doesn't have a specified height. So if when it gets to let me explain that so that you see. So if I set the width of this text item to be, I select the auto height now. I set the width of the text item to be, let's say 200. Now it is at 200. That means any text that gets to the point of this width, instead of going beyond that and start going outside, it will break and come to the next line. So the text can only increase to the direction of the height endlessly, infinitely, but it will always maintain this specified width. And that is majorly what you'll be using almost all the time, because we always have specified sizes of phone, of website, I mean of desktop, what's it called, platforms, right? You have platform constraint. Every phone has its own size, right? Every computer, what's it called? Desktop computer has its own screen size. So you don't need to just allow your text to always just go and endlessly, right? You have to specify the width. So I ran out of data. I just did a new subscription. Sorry about that. So as I was saying, you have to specify the width for, okay, let me bring back the screen, sorry. As I was saying, you have to specify the width for paragraphs, because paragraphs most of the time they tend to be very long, right? So you come here, you set the width. So now I think, let me look, I think the distance between these, let's just roughly set this one. Okay, there's also, we need to account for this too. But let me finish typing it. Color is red. Then amongst every other shape, my favorite shape, I mean, is it shape? Yeah, shape is something. Favorite shape is circle. That is why I love red circle. Okay. Amongst, okay, there's supposed to be G, and no, after the end. So, and I'm just using amongst. Amongst is not really an English word. I think it's Hebrew, the Bible and Shakespearean kind of language. So that's why you're having that red line there. So so now let's try to position it. So you have this, I will just guess this one because it's not very important. Just the distance between these two. Let me just try to move it up a little and see. Nope, it's too close. Move it down a little. Yeah, I think it's just, and then the left and right distance. Let me just try to adjust. Yep, I think it's okay. I think it's okay. I think this one needs to go left. Yep, it's okay. So basically, what I actually want to achieve for this class is to design this thing so that when you come back, you can look at this thing, and I mean, after this class, you can go back to the video, watch, and redesign it, right? So now, if we notice, the last thing that is remaining actually is this particular text. We have gotten in the color, everything. But this other one, that is why, which is like the conclusion of our entire statement, right, is bold. So how to do it is, you can select the entire text. I've already taught us how to make it bold. You can select it, you can make it bold, right? But it's only that one I want to make bold. So I press Ctrl Z. You can then select only that one, right? And still do the same thing. Just I think it's semi-bold. Yeah, it's semi-bold. Is it semi-bold? Ah well. No, I think it's bold. It's actually bold. So she can just do that. So that marks the end of this particular project because we have gotten everything. We just replicated this. So congratulations. Yep, congratulations. If you followed through and you are still going to go over it again before the next class. So now one last thing. We are going to do that a lot, but let me just introduce us to it. Is you have finished designing, you just want to export a particular design so that you can see how it looks, right? Because you obviously do that a lot of times. When you are done designing, you export. So you how to export, you can select an individual item, you come to this last part, export, you select you add a new export. So it's telling you export ellipse, right? It's telling you export ellipse. Because of the name of this item, that is ellipse 1. Look at the name on this layers panel. Layers section is called ellipse 1. If I rename it, we can rename these things. If I rename it to, let's say, my circle. So when I go back to export, I'll say export my circle. So whichever item you select, you can see it here to export, and then you can choose which version, whether PNG, JPEG, SVG, or PDF. Now I want to export PNG, but of course we don't want to export just the circle. You can even export just the text. But it's the entire frame we want to export because we want to, have the entire thing. So the frame is called frame 2. So we can just rename it to maybe practice project also. Let me just quickly do that. Right. So now if I come and click on export, I would see export practice project. So this 1x is talking about the size. So I want it to be high quality. I can export it to this actual size. Export it as this actual size. Let me move it up. I can export it as this actual size or times 1.5 of the actual size, or times 2. Let me just make it times 2. It's going to be, of high quality. Then you can also preview what you're trying to export. So I'm exporting this entire frame. You can preview it. So when you click on export, it's just going to download it to your computer and you can view it. So you can also do that and just view it on your phone and see what you have done. So this is actually the assignment, right? On our next class, in fact, before our next class, yes, officially I'm giving us an assignment. Before our next class, you should have been able to design this and send it to my DM on WhatsApp. Or first of all, send it to the group. If you are not on this class now, when you come back to rewatch the video, I will still post it on the group after the class. The assignment for the class is you redesign this project and send it to the group with your name. Your numbers are not saved on my phone, most of you. So you send it with your name on the group so that we can be sure that we all did it. And I don't want to, I was going to say I'll give prize. It's a lie. I'm not giving any prize. I'm not giving any prize. So it's just, so that we can be sure we did it. And also so that you can be sure you worked on it and you can be sure you learned it, right? You can be sure you learned it. That is the assignment. Nobody's going to force anybody to do anything, but it's an encouragement to me, and also for you are doing it for yourself. Right? So that marks the end of this particular class. So because of time, it's already 30 minutes remaining. Because of time, I'm just going to quickly explain the concept of programming. So officially, we are done with design for today, and officially we are going into programming for the first time today still. So I'm going to explain the basic concept of programming. I'm going to explain the basic. I'm going to begin to explain the basic concept of programming. We won't be able to finish. We won't be able to cover it. On our next class, we'll try to go further on programming, because that one is, to an extent, slightly much more difficult than this, right? So programming. Let me just W3 schools. So programming, right, is all about creating, well, what am I saying? Application development is all about writing codes that a web browser or a platform can render and display as an interface. So everything you see on any website you visit, on any application you are currently using, whatever you see, is just codes that are written behind the scene and is being rendered. These are codes that you are interacting with, right? So let's just try to do a little practice. So this is a code that is written, and then this is like, this is on a digital platform that you can use to write code and see the preview of those code. So this is like a website interface, right? And this is the back end where you write the code. So now we want to see the codes that we are writing. Let's assume this is the website. What this website is currently showing, right, is what is written on the back end. That is this code. I will go ahead and edit it so that you can see that it is this code actually that is being rendered here at the website. If I should, let's say, change this is a heading to maybe Alex Onyeka is my name, right? And I run it. You see that the website, which is this particular section, has displayed it. Has displayed the current text. So it's just basically sorry about that. It's just basically that. Application development is the process of writing code that a web browser or a platform, whether it is mobile or desktop, can render and display so that the user can interact with it. If I should say all these tags, we are not working with HTML. I explained the difference between the Dart programming language we'll be working with. I did all that even before this class, so I won't go into it in much details, right? So this actually is just so that we can understand the concept, but this code is in HTML. This is not the code we are working with. We are working with that. I just want you to get the concept that you write code and it is rendered in a way, right? So I could add another paragraph. This is just the syntax. This is called a syntax. In programming, syntax is called the rules that a particular programming language obeys, right? Just like in how do I explain this? Maybe when you are speaking French, no, that explanation is not going to work. Let me just continue. So syntax is just the rules, right, that a programming language obeys. If I should, okay, now I want to write my name. Why do I have to write it in between this and this before it can be rendered? If I remove these things, it will still be rendered, but it will just be rendered just like this. Let's look at it. You see, it's just rendered just like this, just the way it is. So, but to now give it meaning, we have to put it on this h1 tag to say, okay, I will explain what h1 is, but it's not even really what we're supposed to learn, because I just want us to get the concept that it is the code that is written behind. This is HTML. What we are learning is that, right? So I just want us to get the concept. So now if I now, wrap it around this h1 tag, this h1 tag now represents HTML syntax for bold texts. You understand? For bold text is HTML syntax for bold text. If I run it, the web browser is going to understand that this text is supposed to be bold, and then it's going to render it as a bold text. There are different sizes of text. There's H2. So anything you wrap around a H2 text, if you notice the syntax, you have to put small brackets. You open the small bracket, put the particular, whether it's H1 or H2, is from H1 to H6. So as the number increase, the size decrease. H1 is the biggest, H2 is smaller than H1, H3 is smaller than H2. So That's just how it is. So the syntax is, look at it, you have to put smaller brackets. Let me see if I can increase the screen here. You have to put smaller brackets and then H2 and close the bracket and open the smaller bracket again, like less than. Use your apostrophe and then the text again, and then everything you now, whatever text you want to display, you write it in between the two tags, right? Write it in between the two tags. So let's say Alex Onyeka is my name. I am a boy. Let me just put that. So you're going to, if I should run it, look at it, it's slightly smaller than this, right? And then for all those long text, it's called paragraph, that you just want to keep writing, you just use this paragraph format. So that is basically what application development is. It is for, it's just writing code that will run on the background and render whatever the meaning of the code you wrote is on a platform, whether it is a website or it is a mobile device or it's a desktop, right? So on the particular programming language that we'll be learning is called Dart. Let me just quickly delete this so it doesn't look too much in our eyes. It's called Dart. Particular programming language we'll be learning is called Dart. So Dart has its own syntax, just the way HTML. HTML is not actually a programming language, but let's forget about that. I just wanted to use it to explain that visual representation. So Dart has its own programming syntax. It has its own syntax. And there are some core things we need to understand before we can even work. One of it is, it's not very much a big deal. This particular thing I want to explain now, but we need to explain it because we will use it. It's not really part of the programming itself, but it's something you will use and you understand why I'm saying what I'm saying. Now is that oh my god. Let me just reopen that. Let me reopen that. Yeah, let me reopen this. So look at this page now. What happens is, I need to explain this before I go back to explain the other thing I want to explain. What happened is, this when you run this code on a web browser, right? The web browser is going to run the entire, everything you wrote is going to run it and it's going to display it on the page. Some are like, this text is to be displayed on the page, this other text is to be displayed on the page, but some other ones like this is not displayed on the page, but it is used to give the text meaning, right? It's used to give the text meaning. The only thing that is displayed on this page is these two. This is a heading and this is a paragraph. Every other thing is used to give the page both meaning and structure, right? So the web browser is going to go line by line and run everything, compile it, and then render it on a web page or a mobile device. So now let me go back and explain what I want to explain. So, but there are some things you don't want the web browser to run. You probably, let's say, as I'm teaching you guys now, and then I say, let me just quickly write one small code. Let's say string my name. I will explain this. We haven't gotten to this place, but let me quickly. Now, if you notice, as I am writing this Dart, it is called IDE. This particular interface is called an IDE. What is an IDE? An integrated development environment. Of course, back very old, when programming came out new, people were writing programming languages with notepad, just pick up a notepad and start writing. And those guys, of course, it was working for them, but it is very difficult. The reason is because in programming there are a lot of mistakes you can make, even as little as a semicolon or a full stop that you omit can disrupt an entire application, right? So it is not easy to write on just a notepad and not miss one of these things. So that's why over the years, engineers created these IDEs, integrated development environment. What this IDE does is, it understands the programming language syntax that you are currently writing. So when there is something you are supposed to put that you have not put, that programming language syntax require, is going to give you an error there and then. like this thing now I wrote, it is, if you look at this place, it's telling me that it is expecting a semicolon, right? It's also saying that the value of the local variable my name is not used. I will explain what a variable is and the rest. So, but I just want to explain that there are some errors here, and because this is an IDE, it's going to be notifying you and telling you the necessary errors and how to fix it. Like it's telling me it is expecting to find a semicolon. If you read this text, that's what it's saying. I don't know if it is bold enough. I just zoomed in. Look at expected to find a semicolon. So it is suggesting how you will solve the error, right? So that's why, and that's the importance of an IDE. So so now my name is, I will explain all these things. Let's say Alex Onyeka. Now if I put that semicolon, that error will disappear. Now it's telling me I need to use this variable. Let's not worry about that for now because we don't even know what a variable means. So if I should run this code now on a web browser, it's going to run everything from here down to this line, down to this other line. But let's say in scenarios where I want to now explain what this code means, or I want to, write a little explanation about this code to myself. Let me not even say to somebody else, to myself, so that maybe after so many weeks, if I come back, I will easily remember what this code does. And if I come here and say this is where I saved my name, right? If I do this, you will see that a lot of errors will appear, because this is telling me that a lot of errors, like a lot of errors. I mean, what is this? This is a keyword in application development. So what it actually just means is that the compiler, I mean the IDE, is trying to run this code too. But let's not forget that this particular line, I want to use it to explain this other line. I don't want it to be part of what the platform will run, right? I don't want it to be part of what the platform will run. I just want to use it to explain this line. So that is actually what I'm trying to explain. So in that scenario, we use something that is called a comment. In JavaScript, there are other ways to create a comment, but in that there are two ways. I mean, there are three ways, but one is not widely used. So I'll show you the two. One is to put two apostrophe, right? It's apostrophe. Put two apostrophe before. So this pattern now is when you want to comment everything on that straight line, no matter how many text is there, you want to comment everything on that straight line. Look, as I put it, all the error has disappeared. So it is not trying to run this line anymore. So when I come back, if I run this thing on the web browser, wherever I want to run it, it will not run this line, because it will just know that this line is a comment. It's not part of the executable code. Understand? So this is one way, because we are going to use it a lot. That's why I'm explaining it now. The other way is maybe what you want to explain is something very long. Let's say I want to explain this is where my name is, and I am using, let's say I am using it to let's say explain about comments also, right? Now this is an explanation that is, it could be 2 lines, it could be more. So in that scenario, that means this 1 line comment will not work. So that's why we use the other pattern of comment. That pattern is you put this apostrophe. I don't know if this is called apostrophe. I forgot to show. Slash. I'll just call it slash. You put the slash and then you put asterisk. Now, putting that, it has what this one does is that from this place you use it down until you tell it where to stop. It will comment out. I've already explained what comment means. So comment means you are telling the browser that this particular line of text, don't run it. It's not part of what you will execute. So what it's saying is that from where this is defined, it will comment out every other text under it unless you tell it to stop. How to tell it to stop now is to come to where you want it to stop. You put the asterisk and then you put the slash again. So if you notice, only this text is gray. This one is still the color. So saying that this one, that means that this one will be executed while this one is just a comment. So we'll be using this throughout this course. That's why I had to explain this. So I'm sure we can understand this. We can always come back. In fact, let me just quickly check. If you have a question, quickly just ask this. If you have a question, quickly just ask. If you have, we don't really have time. We have just 14 minutes because I'm ending this class by exactly 9 p.m. I have another meeting by 9:30. I need to get ready. So, okay, since there's no question, let me proceed. So that's how to create a comment. You can always go back, watch the video, try to create it. Oh, yeah, my bad. This IDE is available on the web. You can, maybe I will drop the link to the IDE. Maybe I should just do it immediately. I will drop it on, you can just, let me just quickly drop it on I'll drop it on the group. I'm dropping it now actually. So you can visit it and practice all these things that I'm teaching. Just the way you went to Flutter, you can also, I just dropped the link to the IDE. So the IDE, you can use it to just practice this Dart syntax, because there are a lot of things we are going to be practicing on, before we actually start developing application. We need to learn how Dart functions, different concepts in Dart and the rest. So you go to the website, you go to your Chrome browser, you enter the link, or you just click the link. It's going to, with your laptop, of course, it's going to take you to this page, and then you can start practicing. So now we have learned about comments, right? Now let us start learning some basic things on what's it called, on that. One of the first things we'll learn is in that there are, in every programming language actually, there is something that is called variable, right? Variable is just like a lot of people explain it like a bucket where you store things, So maybe you have a line of code, like, let's say, I will explain these things. Let's say you have something like this, maybe an information about yourself. My name is Alex. I am a boy, something like that. You have this, right? And this is an information about somebody. So that means whenever you want to display that information about that person on the website or on the mobile app, you have to start writing. And let's say this information, let me write my full name so that it will be long. Let's say this information, you will be displaying it a lot of times, right? And then it doesn't really make sense to always write this full text every time you want to display that information. So in programming, you can easily save that text in something called a variable. You can save anything, whether number, whether anything, in something called a variable, so that instead of writing the entire text, you can just write the name of that thing. You save this thing inside. Now let me give an example. This is an information about myself, so I could say my info is the name of the variable, right? And then I'll say equal to this particular text. And in that, according to that syntax, if you see, it's reminding me that there is expecting a semicolon. So according to that syntax, after every line of code, you need to put a semicolon. According to that syntax, after every line of code, you need to put a semicolon, right? So now, I created a variable. The variable accepts string as a value. I will explain what a string means. But let me quickly finish the variable, because I will use the variable to explain the other, that string. So now the name of the variable, I called it my info. So that means whenever I want to display this data, I've already saved this data inside this my info, right? Let me go again. I created a variable called my info. The data type that the variable will accept is a string. And then I now save, I use this equality sign to save this entire string inside this variable. So whenever I want to use this variable, whenever I want to display this data, I will just use this my string. Now, for example, let me come here. In programming, there is something called print, right? Print. Let's say as you are working, you want to see some result or some data just for yourself. Let's say while you are working, before you do something to be displayed on the application or web page, you want to see it first for yourself. No any other person will see it, unless, of course, the person comes to your laptop also, right? there's something you can use. It's called print. That means you print it to the console. You print it to the console. So this area is, let's say you are working inside your room as a programmer, right? You want to test run something. Instead of putting it out there on the web page so that everybody will see, you are not yet sure of the result you will get. You can just print it to the console and see it for yourself. It is okay. If it is okay, then you can push it to the web page so that everybody will see. You understand? So this is how you use that print, and we'll be using it a lot here because here we are all about test running so that we can understand how that functions, right? So here now we want to display this information. Of course, we can just, let me just copy it here and paste it here. And if we click on this run, it's going to run this print. It's called a function. It's going to run this print function and it's going to display whatever that is inside here. Sometimes it takes time. Let me just quickly refresh the page. If the network is not too strong, sometimes it takes time. So let me run it again. So it's going to run this print function, and then whatever is inside the print function is going to display it on the console. Okay, look at it. My name is Alex. I am a boy, right? Let's say I want to display it 5 times, or let's just say 2 times. In that case, I'll have to write the print again and then start writing my name is Alex Onyeka. I am a boy. And then of course I told us that we must use semicolon after every line of code. I'll put a semicolon. So if I run it now, I made a mistake on purpose so that I will use it to explain. If I run it now, we'll see it ran the same thing, of course, because it's the same thing I put. But here now, instead of using capital letter, I used small letter. So that is the downside of always repeating yourself in programming. It is something you should avoid by all means, right? So that is why this variable is very important. So, but with this variable, if you just save it once, you carefully write it and be sure you got it correctly. And if you just save it once, whenever, instead of writing the text every time, you can just simply use the variable my info, right? And still use it here again, my info, because I have already defined it here. It's called definition. I've already defined it here. I've already assigned the value of this long text inside this small my info. So if I should run it, it is what is here that is going to display, because I saved all this text inside just this variable called my info. This is supposed to show you just that. Let me refresh again. We are already 6 minutes before time. So if I run it again, you'll see that it is this text that is here that is being displayed here, because we saved it inside. Look at it. It displayed twice because we ran it twice. And one very good thing about variables, if probably there is now a change, maybe I now decide to change my name from Alex to Onyeka, let's say I now add, or let's say I'm no longer, this transgender nonsense. Well, I'm not no longer a boy, it's not me. Let's say I want to add something to it. Maybe I'm a boy and I am in tech, right? If I add it once, it's going to reflect on everywhere I use this variable, and that is awesome. Imagine before that the text are inside individually. Let's say I've used it on 10 to 20 different places on the application, and then I now need to add this text. That means I'll have to start going to each and every place that I used it and start updating the text, right? And that is very, very bad. Some applications that is as big as Facebook, sometimes a single thing could be used in over 100 places. So, but if you save that thing inside a variable and you use that variable in that 100 different places, you could just go back and edit that thing just once and to reflect on every place you used it, right? So now if I should run it again, you'll see that this I am in tech that I added will reflect on the 2. So that's one concept of programming. It's called variable, because that's one of the most important concepts of programming. The ability to save whatever you want to save inside something else and give it a custom name and reuse that thing anywhere, and it will have the value of that. Otherwise, no, it's just the network. I'll refresh it and run it again. If I run it again, you see that it has added this I am in tech. Look at it, I am in tech. It added it to the two places. But if I wrote it manually inside, and like I said, if I have used it at maybe 20 to 30 different places on my application, I'll have to start going back looking for those places. And sometimes application is very big. Sometimes you might forget the places, different places you use it, and that's how you end up not updating it everywhere, and it will become a bug, right? So it's always better to use a variable when you have data. Not even when you just always use variable. You just always use variable. So we're already out of time for today. 3 minutes to time. So I'll just round off here. On our next class, we'll explain extensively the variable and explain data type. We'll explain variable, we'll explain data type, and other concepts of programming. But please, the assignments, don't forget the assignments. I think, yeah, this is the practice project. I didn't name it. Let me name it practice project. I'm just making all these mistakes. So we're done for today. Thank you all. I hope you guys had a good time learning. And then, as I was saying, the assignment is just simple. You have to recreate this thing. Recreate it, send it on the group with your name and your name and your state, just the way you are doing on the comment section. Send it on the group with your name and your state. And while during the process of recreating, if there's any place you're finding difficult to understand also, of course you can always come back and watch the video. But if you are still finding it difficult to understand, you can always reach out to me on my DM. I will always be available. Most of the time I will be available unless I am busy. I'll tell you I'm busy. I'll give you another time. So reach out to me. I'll try to help you figure it out. Thank you all for coming to learn. Do have a wonderful night. Bye.